There are going to be a lot of people celebrating this week for the news, the fact that, by the looks of it, HS2, although I don't believe there has been an official announcement as of yet, that HS2 looks as if it is going to be cancelled. And this is an absolute shame. It really is. I know a lot of people say, oh, why do we need this? But it's infrastructure, and it's vital infrastructure that this country is indeed lacking. And as I said to a lot of other people, just because, we're getting this HS2, and again, we need it, that money in HS2 itself, when it was coming up and it was going to be coming through these areas, a lot of other rail infrastructure money was tied to HS2 so that other lines could be upgraded, so that other routes could be built. And remember, we in the North are desperate for new infrastructure. I think, what is it? Every person in down like the southeast has something like almost like £15 per head spent on like infrastructure down there. We're in the north, it's something like £6. Again, the disparity is monumental. There's a wide gap, and even though I know HS2 really controversial in some points, I know, I get it, but we need this infrastructure. We really do. And this is what always annoys me about some Green campaigners who say, oh, we want more rail infrastructure. So then the government builds rail infrastructure and they go, whoa, you can't build it there. And you're like, well, what are we going to do? And then they expect you to upgrade and build those current lines. But if you do that to those current lines, and remember, HS2 is going to take a long time to build, those current lines cannot be used. And that means more freight. And HS2 was going to have a big freight capacity added to it. So that would have meant less, lorries on the motorway. Again, it really is so confusing to me, but that's a topic for another time. But the big thing, as I said there at the beginning, was that there was lots of money tied up into HS2, mainly, as you can see here, the Northern Powerhouse Rail being one of the big crucial things that it was tied to. And now we are basically seeing it being cancelled completely, and this money being used to favor Tory hotspots, which are basically going to create massive new gaps in rail that aren't going to make a damn bit of sense here in the north. But anyway, let's jump into this article and find out more, shall we? So before we do go jumping in, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, as well as one donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel that way. So this comes from The Independent, the title of The Northern Powerhouse Rail Isn't Being Cut Back, It's Being Cancelled. The Independent first reported last month that the government was watering down the Northern Powerhouse Rail, or the NPR project, stripping it to its bare minimum. Now, with the announcement looming on Thursday, it seems that the cuts have gone even further, and the new line has been effectively scrapped. NPR was first announced by George Osborne back in 2014 when he branded it the HS3, the next logical step after HS2. The plan was for a new high-speed line running east to east-west across the north, connecting Manchester with Leeds, pairing it with upgrades and new lines linking other cities such as Newcastle, Liverpool, Bradford, and even Sheffield. It would increase rail capacity and reduce journey times within and across the north. But on Thursday, the government is expected to fully release its much-delayed integrated rail plan, spelling out what it will actually build. The latest reports are that there will be no line from Manchester to Leeds in it. This is This is not just a case of more cutbacks, but this line was the bare minimum of the Northern Powerhouse Rail. If a new line between the North's two most important cities isn't in the plan, the Northern Powerhouse Rail has not been just cut back, it has been cancelled. The government is expected instead to announce upgrades to existing Transpennine route to try and spin this as the Northern Powerhouse Rail after all. Boris Johnson's spokesperson appeared to confirm the reports on Monday, refusing to commit to a new line and only telling reporters, "We are committed to transforming rail connections across the Midlands and the North with shorter journey times with an accelerated timetable for delivery, which allows us to bring real benefits to communities as soon as possible." However, you read between the lines and we have to wait to see what is announced on Thursday. These upgrades will probably be worthwhile, but there are simply no possible upgrades that deliver anywhere near the same improvements in reliability, capacity, and journey times that a new line would. The new line is required to try and separate and inject journeys from the local shopping trains, allowing for far more of both. It is also requiring to improve links to the cities like Bradford that are currently vastly underserviced by a network based on the human geography of the 19th century. Trying to squeeze more faster trains onto the same lines will make reliability and overcrowding even worse, not better. However extensive the planned upgrades to the existing line might be, they are basically not even HS3 or even Northern Powerhouse Rail, or whatever you want to call it, with the required new line. There is still time for the government, of course, to change course. But if the integrated rail plan is as reported, the government cannot claim with any credibility to care about levelling up regions outside of London, because it is actively cancelling the main projects it promised to achieve that. Paired with the expected cancellation of the HS2 Eastern leg, it will be doing exactly the opposite. Deciding that the North and the Midlands just aren't worth it. Anything else is just spin. And there we have it, folks. I know a lot of people are going to be celebrating the demise of HS2, but it is completely the wrong thing. Because if you talk to some of these anti-H2 rail campaigners, they are really for infrastructure and new rails. The biggest problem is it's the typical not in my backyard talk, which we have seen for years about wind farms and etc. And just because it happens to be coming close to them, they're all of a sudden worried about it. And all I've got to say is, look, these tracks have to go somewhere. They have to go somewhere. And the Northern Powerhouse Rail, which again was connected heavily with it, and even in that funding, would have built new lines, as they said there, to connect the cities of the North. Bradford, Sheffield, Leeds, Manchester. They all need and desperately need new lines connecting them. Desperately. This is infrastructure. This is what we talk about when we talk about having that infrastructure. Not only, again, would it help take more people or more cars off the road, because there are these good rail links, but it would also, again, help with freight transport as well, which is, again, take more lorries off the road. But it's quite frankly what we've been saying all along. Boris Johnson really does not care about levelling up. And as I said yesterday, we've been talking about this new announcement that's going to be on Thursday of the new brand new £1 trillion export strategy, which again is not going to work because, again, David Cameron already tried that and failed. That money would be far, far better spent on infrastructure here in the UK and actually spent on the levelling up of the North, which Boris Johnson promised, but again, was never going to deliver and couldn't even care about it. It was just a slogan. It was catchy. He hasn't delivered on it. So once again, Boris Johnson and the government breaking their promises to their newly acquired northern voters. How this is going to turn out come election time, we'll have to wait and see. But of course, like I say, let me know down in the comments. I'm sure there are going to be a lot of very anti and pro HS2 comments down below. There always are when we talk about this type of thing. But as always, like I say, do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, there are links down below to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, we shall see you all next time.